you want to create a flipping business, I'm not talking about do like 3 flips a year, 2 flips a year. If you want to create a flipping business where you're doing, you know, 20 flips or more a year, 100 flips a year, you can do it. You just have to really systematize it. Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Hello and welcome back to Pillars of Wealth Creation. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. With me, as always, on these Hump Day Hustles, we got Matt Jones. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm having an awesome day. How are you doing, Todd?
I am doing fantastic, man. Doing fantastic. So, anything new? Anything new we need to hit on?
Well, I got word back from my editor that it looks like about mid-October or so will be when my book is released.
All right.
So I'm excited.
Finally,
Finally,
awesome.
yeah.
That's exciting. That's good stuff. So, yeah, man. Well, for me, I mean, we got the North Star Real Estate Conference coming up, so getting excited about that. We're like 4 weeks away or something like that. October 23rd, 24th. So maybe not even. So it's like coming down. We've got some amazing speakers and really just kind of teeing up that final agenda, you know, who's speaking and when, and then I'm hoping that we can throw in a couple more panels in there to be able to add a few other, you know, people that'll do really good. So we've got some amazing people coming. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think
excited for it.
There's tremendous value. I mean, the speakers that we have, we got Michael Blanc, Adam Adams, Brandon Turner from Bigger Pockets. Yeah,
Trevor McGregor. Yeah, a lot of great speakers. So it's exciting. It's exciting that it's going to be coming soon. It's going to be filled with fantastic stuff. And I think you and John and everybody else on the team have been working hard at making it more than a conference. I'm excited about that. You know, these virtual conferences are okay. You get a lot of valuable information out of them, but you don't get like the networking, which is when I go to a conference, the biggest thing out of that conference is the networking. Like my goal is to meet 3 to 5 people, more than that, but I mean, meet like 3 to 5 people that I truly make a real connection with. And then I feel like we can potentially do business together. My goal also is to find, you know, passive investors, make a good connection with them. It gives me an opportunity to see them face to face, which is great. Shake their hand, great, or bump elbows, whatever we're doing right now. And on a virtual, it's really hard to do that, but I feel like you guys have done a really excellent job to make that a real possibility. That people are going to actually be able to network, which is really cool too. So
yeah, it's going to be
kudos to you guys.
Really interactive. Yeah, I mean, you'll get, you know, our people that are attending will get to, you know, interact with the speakers and get to know them a little bit. So just so much value. I recommend everybody sign up today at nreconference.com.
Yeah, cool. Well, I didn't mean to make it a commercial, by the way. I mean, that wasn't really my intention. My intention was to, you know, just say kind of what I've been working on and what we've been working on collectively. You guys have put in way more time and effort than I probably have. But yeah, it's been exciting. So let's move on to our topic today, Matt. What are we talking about?
Well, last week we talked about the day in the life of a syndicator, and today we're going to talk about the day in the life of a house flipper. And I know you flipped a good 150 homes plus a ski lodge, and I've done a slow flip on one property myself. But you're more of the expert, certainly.
Yeah, done some flipping in my day. So the day in the life, man, again, as I mentioned last week, it kind of depends on what stage you're in, right? So the day in the life of a flipper when they're beginning and a day in the life of a flipper after they've got experience and a team established is definitely different, right? So let's talk flipper, and when I'm talking flipper, when I'm talking syndicator, I'm talking about somebody who's committed and actually doing it, not somebody who's just gonna maybe do one flip ever, So we're talking a flipper, right? Flipper means they do more than one. If you do just one flip or maybe one flip every couple of years, I would say you have done flips, but you're not a flipper, right? So the big difference. So day to life flipper, man. First of all, I got to think back, or I go back in time because it's been a while since I was a beginning flipper. But it's a lot of work, right? Because it's all about everything with flipping is all about velocity. Okay, so we're worried about speed, right? We're worried about how quickly everything can happen from start to finish. And so therefore flipping is a high stress job. And I'll call it a job because that's what it is. So if you're a flipper, what you have to do, and most people know this, is you have to find that property. You have to close on the property. You have to get the financing, of course, for it, whether it's financing, whether it's private money, hard money, whatever it is. And we'll dig into some of this. And then you have to renovate it and, of course, then sell it, right? So let's talk about some of the action steps in there. First, when you're first starting, you have to build relationships with wholesalers. You have to build relationships with different, probably lenders, because the lenders can provide you properties as well. So I got some properties from lenders. You have to build relationships with realtors. You're going to get properties from realtors, and maybe other people in the mix. I had a hard money lender that I got some properties from. I got some properties from leads, I guess, from appraisers, from inspectors. So building these relationships with other people is really important. I never did the mailings, but a lot of people do the mailings. I never had to do that because when I was flipping, it was a foreclosure crisis, right? So there was just a ton out there. But a lot of people, especially now, if you're going to be successful flipping, you're going to have to do some advertising. You're going to have the yellow letters, have to put up a billboard, have to, whatever it might be. You're going to have to actually do something to get these properties because they don't just fall in your lap. They never did, right? You always had to do the work. So when I look back at kind of my humble beginnings, it was spending most of my time, or a large chunk of my time, hounding for deals, right? I'm finding these deals, I'm hounding for deals, and finally getting the deals. But then that never stops, right? You can maybe kind of go, okay, now I got to take a break for maybe a week or two, but you can't let your guard down on that. Otherwise, you got to start the whole train over again, right? When you get your deal flow train flowing, it takes off and it's moving along. Think of a train moving along the track, right? It takes a while to get going, but once it gets up to 50 miles an hour, it's moving. But then when that big bear walks across the tracks or the moose walks across the tracks and it's got to hit the brakes, and it hits the brakes, it does what? It takes a while to get back moving. So if you stop your process, if you stop hounding for deals, well, then you got to start the train over again, right? So you never want to do that. You can maybe let off for a while and you'll coast for a little bit, but you don't want to stop. That's really important. So hound for deals. And again, that's what I've already mentioned. It's building relationships. It's writing a ton of offers. And actually, quite frankly, it's very similar to multifamily. Like I write 100 offers to get one deal in multifamily. You write 100 offers to get one deal when you're flipping, right? And so it's very similar, but you need more properties when you're flipping. If you want to be a flipper and you want to do really well, you probably need, depending on how big you want to get, you need anywhere between 5 properties a year to 50 properties a year. I was wanting to do 50 properties a year. So doing 50 properties a year, I got to close quite a few deals a month. I got to keep writing. We got to write a ton of offers. You can see how busy we were writing offers, hounding for deals, super busy.
And were you doing all the work yourself?
Well, when I was first beginning, yes, I wasn't buying 50 properties at a time then, I was buying 5 to 10 properties. But yeah, when I was first beginning, that was mostly me and myself and a business partner. We were doing really everything. And then as we got going, then we had other people writing offers for us and, doing some of typically I would do the negotiations when we would start to get serious on deals. As we got going, we never looked at deals. We would write offers sight unseen. So we would look at a property. We would look at the pictures. We would understand the area, understand the comps. And then we would base our offer based on what the typical renovation for that square footage of a house would cost. So that would be what so we probably missed on some deals that maybe the renovation was truly only $20,000, but we said it was going to cost us $50,000. And so we missed on some deals because of that, but we didn't have the time to run around and physically look at, 100 deals every, couple days. So we would literally be writing 100 offers every few days. So we just didn't have the time to do that. So we would sight unseen, put these offers in, and then as we would get some negotiations going, a lot of deals would just get rejected. Some of them would get negotiations going, or they would verbally accept our offer. Then we would send somebody out, or we would go out ourselves and look at the deal. So that's kind of how we worked that as we were growing. The other thing that I'm trying not to miss steps, and I'm probably missing steps, right? Because it's been a while since I did a lot of flipping. But the other thing you're constantly doing is juggling the construction, right? So you've got projects going on, you've got offers you're writing, you're always juggling the construction. Even if you're only flipping 5, let's say if you're going to flip 3 to 5 houses a year. Well, if you're going to flip, let's say 3 houses a year, you've got multiple projects going on at once, right? So you're still trying to find a property while you're renovating. So you're still doing multiple things, right? You're not just sitting around only focusing on finding properties, only focusing on renovating, and only focusing on selling. You're doing 3+ properties a year. You're focusing on all 3 of those at one time. So that's important to understand. But yeah, so the next, obviously after you find the deal, then you have to fix the deal, right? And so your focus, very much has to be on how do we fix this deal. And if you're first beginning, you're probably going to be doing you might be doing some of the construction yourself. You might be managing the whole project yourself. And even if you're not first beginning, like we always managed our own projects because to hire a general contractor just didn't make sense. They were taking too much of the profits. There wasn't enough margin in there to hire out a general contractor. So we always did the general contracting ourselves. So we had to manage the project. When I was first beginning, I would run around and grab the materials. I would physically do some of the labor. Man, it was crazy, some of the stuff I did. I think I've told the story before. I don't know if I've told it on this podcast or not, but running to Home Depot all the time. And I remember running back from Home Depot and crossing a railroad track in Minneapolis. And I crossed that railroad track with my car. I had, concrete bags in there, 2x4s, stuff like that. And I hit that railroad track bed, and it was one of those, pretty aggressive railroad track beds where you hit it and it was a good bump. Well, I hit it going full speed, speed limit was whatever, 30 miles an hour, but I was way down and my car had been driving like that for a long time. I was driving a Nissan Altima, and I would load that thing to the top. I mean, just way more aggressively than I should. And I hit that railroad track bend, and bam, my car made this horrific sound like something blew up in it. And then I'm just like dragging something as I'm going, and I get out and I look, and my shocks and everything in the back end had fallen apart, essentially broke. The whole thing, basically the back end, like busted. The shocks and struts, like everything was destroyed. And so I had to limp to this auto mechanic, and $1,500, $2,000, I can't remember how much it cost, but whatever it was to replace all that. I think I maybe had to replace the tires and everything. It was a lot of money. And I realized that, man, I really got to change kind of how I'm doing this business. And so in any business, whether it's syndication or flipping, you come to these points where you're like, I got to systematize this. I got to get a better process in place. But flipping, you really have to.
Hi, I'm Matt Jones, and if you're like me, you're looking to grow your real estate business while connecting with others. There's this incredible new virtual experience unlike any other. I'm talking about the North Star Real Estate Conference. It's coming to you online this October 22nd and 23rd, and it's not like one of those boring webinars you find all the time out there. No, this is going to be interactive. You're going to have the opportunity to network and grow relationships with not only the other attendees, but with the speakers as well. So you can sign up today online at nreconference.com and use the code DEX, DEX, for $50 off.
If you want to flip without, and you want to create a flipping business, I'm not talking about do like 3 flips a year, 2 flips a year. If you want to create a flipping business where you're doing, 20 flips or more a year, 100 flips a year, you can do it. You just have to really systematize it, right? You have to have good processes in place, and you have to have people. It's going to be a people intensive business. You truly do. You have to have project managers. You have to have, you have to have people writing offers for you, negotiating offers, all that kind of stuff. Because if you don't, you're definitely not going to be successful at growing it. You might be able to do 3 or 5 of them, but you can't do a ton of them like that. So there's the construction management side. That's the day in the life of flipper for sure. Construction management, you got to always be making sure that project is running smoothly. There's typically change orders, and so you're managing that at all times. And then it's about the marketing and the sale in the end. And again, you have to decide, are you going to hire a realtor to do that? Are you going to be your own realtor? How are you going to do that? And for me, I was my own realtor, but we had a team, so I didn't have to do much. I was the realtor, and everybody else was the people that put the deal together to sell. So they would take pictures. And again, it depended on the stage we were in. But the beginning stage, of course, I'm the one out there taking pictures. I'm the one out there putting the listing agreement together and making sure all that, or negotiating and all that kind of stuff. But as we went and got bigger, that some of that stuff got delegated out, right? So that's the next step. And like you said, all this has to work together. So when I look at my days back then, it was just constant. It was, first of all, I was probably working like 16 hours a day. It was crazy. I was working a ton, and I didn't have time to breathe, because you constantly have to be doing, right? Because it's a velocity, like I said, it's a velocity business. And why is it a velocity business? Well, I'm sitting on my profits. If I don't sell it, then I don't profit. And there's a lot of things that can disrupt the market. When the market's going up, time is actually on your side. But if a market starts to go sideways or down, time is your worst enemy. And so you never want to be caught not going quickly, because we don't know, the market could start to shift. And you go, well, yeah, but you flip from what this time to this. Well, but it doesn't matter, because even back, like when I was flipping, looking back, it was like, well, I had no worries of time, right? I could have just kept these properties. I could have taken 6 years on these properties and actually would have done really well, right? But we didn't know that back then, right? There at that time there was talks of the second recession. There was talks of shadow inventory and all kinds of stuff. And like right now, there's talks of coronavirus and what's going to happen. Or there's going to be a bunch of foreclosures coming to the market. And so right now, like it's all about velocity. Is the election going to disrupt things? I want to get my property on the market before the election, so that doesn't destroy my property value. I want to get the property on the market before the second wave of coronavirus. And there's going to be something in the future. There's always something going on where we just don't know what the values of our properties are today and what they're going to be tomorrow. So it's all about velocity, getting your property in, getting it done, and getting it listed and getting it sold. If you take your sweet time, you might lose a lot of money in the interim.
Yeah, so it seems like, the more efficient you are, the more ways to find, how to delegate things, and the less of the day-to-day tasks that you do, the more successful you're going to be.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to what you want to ultimately achieve. But I'm talking about a flipping business, and yeah, absolutely. If you've got to treat it like a business. And can it be ran as a business? I think it can. I think it's difficult. Flipping is a difficult business. It takes a lot of your time, but can it be ran as an actual business? That where you can take some time off, you can go places, you can do things, you can actually live a real life. Yes, it can be. It comes down to how much can you delegate, and how good of people you can find. And that's any business, right? But flipping, I think, is probably more than most. It's a labor intensive business. It definitely is. Now, at the same time, I enjoyed it. Like I had a lot of fun doing the flips, and I got really good at them. We got good at the business and doing it, but ultimately, I got burnt out doing it at the same time too.
There's a lot more work than the HGTV shows will let on about flipping.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not HGTV, right? I mean, those are so unrealistic. And I know a bit about reality TV. I mean, I'm on some reality TV for bow hunting, and it's a lot of it is made up and didn't really happen. We have to recreate. We have to come up with pre-roll. We have to come up with post-roll, and a lot of it is it's fake. I mean, it's acting still. So HGTV, flip this house. A lot of it's acting. Like that guy didn't really go in and destroy that wall. Like they did, but they didn't. They just did it because it would make good TV, right? They didn't need to do that. That maybe even costed them money. Like that wall maybe was perfectly good and they didn't need to do anything with it. But they knocked it down, or maybe they only needed to cut out part of a section. So then they take the sledgehammer. Who takes a sledgehammer, by the way? They take this big sledgehammer, and it just makes good TV. It looks cool. Like, oh, I want to do that. I can be that guy.
Let's back up a second. You were on a bow hunting show. What is the name of the show? I gotta check it out.
Yeah, it's called The Hunt with Greg and Jake Miller, and yeah, I was on that. Here, got the DVD right here. There it is, season 2. I was on that show. Yeah.
Nice. You just sit down with your kids and watch that sometimes?
Not really. I mean, they've seen it, but no, I don't like watch myself over and over. Whoa. But yeah, it was fun, and it was a good experience. Time consuming, but it was a good experience. It was fun.
Cool. All right, we'll get a little off topic, but anything we missed about day in the life of a flipper?
I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of stuff, right? There's a lot of little nuances, and uh, again, it all comes down to how effectively can you delegate, how effectively can you put in processes and systems in place um, in order to really be effective, in order to keep yourself from your head spinning off its spindle, because man, flipping is intense. And like you said, it's all about velocity. Whoever wins is the one that's going the fastest, right? And it starts from getting the deal, Matt. I mean, it's always competitive. People are like, "Oh, it's too competitive right now." Well, it's been competitive forever. Like, it's always too competitive. You tell me a time when it's not too competitive, right? It's always too competitive. And so you always have to be the fastest one to put the offer in, the one that can close the fastest, right? It's all about, it starts from the start. It's all about velocity. If you don't get there's plenty of times where a property came on the market and within 2 hours, it was sold. It was gone. And so if you didn't get to that property, you didn't get your offer in the 100%, like the same day for sure. Like that property was on the market on the MLS at 9 a.m. If you did not have your offer in by the business close that day, there was zero chance you were going to get that property. And that happened plenty of times in my day. And I don't know, I'm assuming it's still the same way. And you better have had all cash, and you better have been able to close within 2 weeks. And if you couldn't, forget it. You're not going to get that property again. You're just not going to get it. So it's all about how quickly can you move.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's a fun game though. I mean, it's fun, right? It's fun to do. It's like you said, it's stressful, but it's at the same time, man, it's a fun game to play. I tell you what, when I went from flipping to buying multifamily, um, although I really enjoy multifamily, and I realize that it's a much more sustainable long-term business, part of me misses the flipping because of the thrill of chasing the deal and the thrill of doing the deal. When I'm going from buying, 30 to 50 deals a year to going to buy, 1 to 3 deals a year, that's a big difference. And that drove me crazy at first. It was hard for me to handle that change of velocity, because multifamily is not a velocity business. There's certain parts that are velocity, but for the most part, it's not. It's a long-term game, right? It's a hurry up and wait game.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for the insight about the day in the life of a flipper. And I'm sure there's things that we missed, little details, like you said, but it's the gist anyway.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, and that's all. That's all I have to say about it. So, unless you have anything more, I think we're a wrap, right?
I'll just mention. So I had that slow flip that I did. It was a multifamily. It was fully rented out, and I guess I bought it with in mind that we might be going on to a recession at some point during my ownership of it. I fixed it up and was renting out. It's cash flowing really nice. But then I got the offer that I wanted sooner than I was expecting. So then I sold. So I had it about 10 months or so altogether. But I didn't have the pressure to sell it right away because it was cash flowing.
Well, that's actually a really interesting strategy, and a good strategy potentially for those who can do it. Right, it's not for everybody, because you do have to hold on to your capital for a little bit. But to buy property, to rent it out, and then to sell it, and you don't. 10 months is actually pretty quick, right? But you got the right offer, like you said. But you can buy properties, hold on to it for a year, just put a tenant there for a complete year lease, and then sell it. And now, there's some tax advantages now to doing that as well, because you've got long-term capital gains and you could potentially 1031 exchange it. So there are some opportunities to do that. Now, you also have to be careful because if you are constantly doing that, and it's really obvious of what you're doing, the IRS will look at that and say, no, you are a flipper. You are not long-term holding these. That's not your goal. Your goal is to put a tenant in there for 1 year and then sell it. And therefore we're going to we're not going to allow this 1031 to happen, or the 1031s that you did, they're going to say, no, you have to pay the taxes on those. So you could get audited if that's your goal to do every time, and potentially be in trouble for that, or maybe get told you can't do that anymore. But that would be something you'd want to talk to your CPA about, and just kind of go through, hey, this is the strategy and this is the reason why. Can I have tax advantages for doing this? And they're the ones that would probably be the best to consult you. But either way, that's a good strategy, is to rent it for a year, get some cash flow, and then sell it. And maybe you buy it and don't renovate it and rent it, and then renovate it once the tenant moves out, and then sell it. So there's that option too. So lots of different ways to hack it, right? Mm-hmm. Cool. Awesome, man. Well, I don't have anything else. You have a fantastic rest of the day, man.
Thanks. You too.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. I would love to have you go on to our Facebook page and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Go on to iTunes or wherever you listen and give us a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe. Your rating and review just helps us push this out to more and more people and continue to grow our audience, and hopefully positively affect a ton of people out there that really need this and want this. So the other thing I've got for you is a free ebook on my website. So go on to venturedproperties.com, and download our free ebook on real estate and on syndication. And I've got some data points in there, some really good stuff for you. So I'd love to have you take a look at that. It's free. I'm not expecting anything from it. And also, look, if you want some help in multifamily, want some help learning, growing, getting your business off the ground, I would love to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me potentially, and see if that's a good fit. So you can go to coachwithdex.com and check that out, and we can definitely have a call. Thanks a lot for listening. You make it a fantastic rest of the day. I'll catch you on the next episode.